Thanks for clicking on the Komets page at Wayne.com. Inside the Zone with the News Sentinel's Blake Sebring. He is the Komets beat writer, and not a festive attitude around the Komets lately. They've dropped 7 straight.
This is Rod Hissong, by the way, and we finally got rid of Glenn. He didn't do his homework, and he was just never prepared. He's always late. We're always starting this late. Actually, he's doing a lot of homework this week. He and his wife, Emily, just had a baby girl last week.
A lot of parenting books, I would assume.
Yeah, so that's where Glenn's at, and we wish them both the best, and what a great Christmas present.
Right? Absolutely. And he'll be back in a couple weeks. All right, so the Komets, 7 straight losses. They're not scoring a lot of goals, only 2 per game. They're giving up just over 3 per game. Personnel changes probably coming. Been rumored. Expecting it, of course, but where's this ship going, and how do they get it back on track?
I was looking at this last night, Rod, and if you still look at the roster and you say there's 11 guys back from last year who won a championship, there's 3 other guys back now who have won previous championships here, and then you add Derek Petrasso and Craig Sescon and Tab Lardner. Any coach in the CHL would want this roster, and remarkably so. I mean, it's just there's plenty of talent here, which also leads you to believe if they can just find the one key thing to change, it might turn around. But the problem is nobody knows what that one key thing is. I mean, even the bloggers, they all want to get rid of X, they want to get rid of Y, they all want to get rid of Z. Everybody's got different ideas. Nobody has one single idea of what to fix.
Right, and it's not like this team is hovering around 500 and, you know, one change or a little bit of philosophical difference would make. I mean, they have 5 wins. Fewest amount of goals in the CHL. I mean, they're way back, and using the excuse that, well, it's early, things will get going, that excuse is gone.
Sure.
It's time to make the change if this team wants to get it righted and make a chance at the playoffs.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is there is still time. They haven't even hit the 1/3 of the way through the season. That happens Wednesday night is the 1/3 mark. And they've only played 9 home games. You know, they've still got 27 home games to go. It's just the whole thing is just so baffling. I wrote today, this is the most disappointing start in the Komets' history, because the only worst start was their very first season when they were expansion team and nobody had any expectations or knew anything about any of the players. We thought we knew everything about each one of these players and what they could expect. You know, this group should be scoring 4+ goals a game, and they're not. They're scoring 2+ goals a game. And it's inconsistent from period to period, not let alone game to game, and nobody has any answers right now.
Well, and like Saturday's game with Dayton, they come out, they get 2 goals early, and then they couldn't even sniff the net.
Right.
Over the final 30 minutes or so of the game. And that's the way it's been. And the schedule up to this point hasn't been entirely favorable for the Komets. 5-game road trip, you know, 3 different games in 3 different cities, back to back to back. And
that's life in the minors.
That's
though.
tough, right. And you've got to be used to that, and you make a second home on the bus. But it seems like there's just a culmination of a little bits and pieces that need to come together. And they're working on it. You know, they'll get there, I would think. I can't assume this team would be this bad for the whole year.
The worst part of it right now is that it's not a physical thing. It's a mental thing. And that may be the hardest thing to fix. You know, they really haven't had that many injuries. They haven't had the flu go through. You know, they haven't had
knock on wood, of course,
a total breakdown of it just hasn't worked. I mean, and the worse it gets, the harder it is to overcome that. And you know, it's just crazy because you look at this roster and it just should not be happening.
Talk about the expectations, because 3 straight championships. You know, and there's been some personnel changes from the offseason that just kind of naturally happened, but the expectation level, not only from the organization, the players that are there, and the fans, you would expect maybe if this team is around 500, okay, they'll get it going. But they've got 5 wins again. I hate to keep bringing it up, but the expectations of what people really want from this team.
Well, and Fort Wayne fans are very demanding. They're very judgmental. They are not known as, well, we'll lift the team up and get them going. I mean, the Komets had a great shift. I think it was early in the second period on Saturday night, and usually that was the type of shift that would get everybody going. It really didn't get that much response from the crowd. It got some response, but it wasn't everybody like, you know, normally you would have in that situation. The fans are kind of spoiled. I mean, and maybe spoiled isn't the right word, but I mean, they did win 3 championships, and they were a first-place club before that, the year before that.
Yeah,
they know what they like,
Yeah,
and and they know that this team has more potential than what they're showing.
Right, and they know that they don't like a 5-15 team.
Sure, exactly, and I don't blame them. But I think that all is part of it, because I do think it takes time to get used to playing in Fort Wayne. It's not necessarily an easy place to play if you're used to playing in front of 1,000 fans, and then you come in and there's 8,000 fans, and you've got all that to adjust to.
Right.
Sure.
And we were kind of talking a little bit. Fort Wayne they're sort of like the Yankees, not in spending, obviously, but 3 straight titles. Big crowds. They kind of have a target on their back. Are those legitimate reasons, or are those just good excuses?
It depends how you look at it. I mean,
that's why you're here.
The thing of it, yeah. Thanks for the easy softball question there, Rod. The thing of it is the Komets the last 3-4 years have always looked at those situations as opportunities to overcome. They always looked at it as, oh my gosh, we'll show them. I mean, you had guys who thrived under those type of situations. People got on Kevin Bertram all the time because they didn't think he was physical enough or tough enough. I tell you what, he was always on the ice at the end of those close games, making sure the other team didn't score. David Huckalo was injury plagued and stuff the last few years, but he was always on the ice at the end of those games too. You've kind of got to relearn that whole process again of who's on the ice when and what you do in certain situations. And every year is unique, and you've got to start over. And this year has proven it more than anything.
Right, not to mention with the new league, some new teams that you are not familiar with at all, other than maybe what you see on tape or what you've read. But